Hello, hello. Welcome to BeatStars Academy. My name is Jamil. Today, we're joined by Levi Beats, as always, and special guest, attorney Kyle Brown. Today, we have a really exciting episode. We're going to be talking about BeatStars Publishing. Signing up for BeatStars Publishing, we got Kyle here to give you some tips on, things to look for and what to be excited about. This is a big week at BeatStars, finally rolling out, our publishing portal, and we've been hearing a lot of good things. Really excited just to talk about it and get some feedback from you guys, hear what you think about it, and take all your questions to get you set up and receiving your royalties for your music. Do you want to say hi, guys? Maybe Kyle, want to introduce yourself? I know people might know you, but you're new to BeatStars Academy, so.
Yeah, what's up, Academy? It's really dope to be here. I check you all out all the time, so it's great to finally be able to tap in. But as Jamil said, I'm Kyle Brown. I guess I cloud up. My name is Attorney Kyle. So if you want to follow me and tap in with what I'm doing, and, definitely do that. And I'm super excited and thankful to be here. These guys are really dope, so it's cool.
Yeah, appreciate you being here, man, and welcome everyone to today's show. Obviously, we're going to be talking about publishing, like Jamil said. We still do have our quiz this week, so don't think that we have not forgotten about you with a quiz. So stick around to the end of the show. We're going to have this quiz. This is going to be Carl's first time experience the BeatStars Academy quiz, so that's going to be cool. Yeah, stick around. Make sure you tune in and tap into everything that we're talking about today, because a lot of the questions are going to be based on what we're talking about as usual. And then you have your chance to be featured on the official BeatStars Academy playlist. And we'll probably get Carl to help us today with that, so that'd be cool. Yeah, so it's cool. I guess we can start.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start. Let me share my screen and we'll go ahead and start the BeatStars dashboard. As always, you guys feel free to ask questions whenever they pop up in your head. Write them in the chat, whether you're watching on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're watching. Definitely, let us know, and we'll get to the questions as soon as we can, or we'll let you know if they're coming up later on within the conversation. We see Allison is watching right now. Shout out to Allison, a really good friend of the show.
Yes, she is. She's been featured on our show once before. Yeah.
I think the first ever guest that we had, actually. I think she was. Might have been the first one. All right, cool. Can you guys see my screen?
Sure.
All right, cool. So this is the BeatStars dashboard. So let's go ahead and click on this publishing tab right here. As you can see, we have this page set up. Hold on, let me actually see if I could expand this for myself, because it's a little bit small on my screen. Okay, cool. So we have some basic information over here that everybody should kind of check out. To offer publishing, we've partnered with Sony Music Publishing. We have a special message from Abe right here. Let me actually see if I can go ahead and press that. Maybe we can. How long is this?
What's going on, BeatStars fam? How are you? It's Abe, CEO of BeatStars. Got some exciting news today. I'm sure you guys have been hearing all about it. The BeatStars music publishing portal is open, available to all of our creators. Anyone that owns a stake in the intellectual property of a song that they've helped create can now collect on publishing administration royalties right on BeatStars, in partnership with our homies over at Sony Music Publishing, helping our creators finally be able to collect the money that they are owed from their publishing ownership. If you created something in the music space, you are entitled to the publishing share of all of these songs when they are commercialized around the world. With our partners over at Sony Music Publishing, they help us go collect worldwide. We maintain all of your rights, all of your copyrights, and it's free to enter. You can go to beatstars.com/publishing, head into the Studio app to manage and register all your songs on iOS and Android and the BeatStars Studio app. If you're a music producer on BeatStars, all these songs that are being made with your leases, you're entitled to the publishing revenue of all those songs that are being created with your beats. All the rappers and singers and artists that are using the beats on BeatStars, that are writing lyrics on those songs, you are also entitled to publishing revenue, and you need to collect on those too for the songs that you make. Get started, open today. Peace, love. We'll see you guys next time.
Okay. So like Abe said, totally free to sign up. You are, entitled to your royalties. So we're out here, trying to help you collect those. We don't need to watch this because we have the live person here with us today. But for sure. Okay. Let's go ahead and actually go through the process of signing up for publishing.
Let's go. I feel like Abe's now a featured guest of BeatStars because we've had him on the screen.
Yeah,
BeatStars
for sure.
Academy. Yeah.
Okay, let me actually type this in right here. Okay, so once you click that, it'll take you to Studio, and you'll be met with this screen right here. We have a couple of the breakdowns over here. There's obviously much more to it that we'll go into over the course of this show, but it's free enrollment. It's an 80-20 split. You get direct payments. It's a 1-year contract, and it's worldwide royalty collection. You maintain 100% ownership of your music. Is there anything you wanted to add right there, Kyle, before we move on to the sign up?
No, I think you covered it. That's really the most important thing. I think one of the biggest things is 100% ownership, and that worldwide royalty collection, because that's super huge, and we'll touch on more of that too.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, let's go ahead and hit start publishing.
Just wanted to highlight something there, Jamil, if you don't mind. We're obviously going to go through this with you today to show you how to do it. But if you miss anything on the show, there is an actual information button at the bottom there where it actually takes you through a process on how to do it. It's a help article that Jamil has kindly created for us. So, yeah, check that out as well if you are not able to follow with us today.
Okay, so once you just click on that, you go ahead and get started. Now you can continue your submission.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, cool. Okay, it looks like it's filled out a lot of this for me automatically, which is very cool. Wait, is this how it always goes, or is this because I started it earlier? I don't remember. Either way, you fill out this information. Once it comes up, it'll take your first name, your last name. You enter all the basic information like your citizenship, your professional name. All that other good stuff. And then we go down to writer info. And then you will enter your PRO from this drop-down list. If you guys don't know what a PRO is, do you want to explain that really quick, Kyle?
Yeah, so essentially every country has a PRO. In Europe is CMOs, right? Because they collect not only the performance, but a lot of them also collect mechanicals. So essentially this is really the first step because you're just basically aligning, with the country's organization. So once you do this first and align yourself with a PRO or a CMO, then that's when your publisher comes in and works with that particular entity to collect those royalties on your behalf.
Right. Cool. Usually for Americans, you'd either have ASCAP or BMI. These all change, depending on your country. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at ASCAP. You'll have a unique IPI number that's given to you by your PRO. There's more of an explanation over here. If you click on these informational facts, you would just get that from your PRO and then enter that over here. A business entity. Do you have a PRO publishing entity? When you guys explain, what that means for people who aren't aware of that?
Right. Yeah. So essentially, the business entity part is, for example, when you create your PRO, they ask you whether or not you have a writers, and they ask you, do you have a publisher, right? So essentially, you're creating what's called a fictitious entity because it could be, Attorney Kyle Songs, right? Here, the business entity, it differentiates because it's asking you, do you have like a LLC or a corporation or a partnership or something that outside of what you sign up with the PRO that actually controls ownership to those songs? The reason why that's important is because when you have that, you have to also, fill out other documentation. It's not a lot, but it's just important for the collection piece.
Right. So all you'd have to do is that you'd have to enter your name and then your publisher IPI.
Right.
That's all it would be as far as like extra things. It's okay if you don't have one. You don't need a PRO publishing entity to be able to sign up for publishing. Right. This is just if you already have those things set up, this is where you would enter it. And then this question kind of goes along with that. Are the songs you want registered currently being administered by another publisher? If you don't, it's cool. If so, then you'd have to enter the information, like when the agreement ends, what type of pub agreement it is. Right off the bat, since we're already talking about this, Kyle, if you could explain what type of agreement BeatStars Publishing is and how that differentiates between the two options.
Right, yeah. So our deal is a 1-year deal, admin deal, meaning you, like I said in the beginning, you collect, all of your royalties through us, but what happens is you maintain that ownership, which is really cool, right? You don't want to feel like you have to give up everything. The difference between an admin deal and a co-pub deal is essentially in a co-publishing deal, you're likely giving up some type of ownership. So not in all cases, but it'll be more so instead of that you getting an average of 80%, it may be a 50-50 split between you and the publisher. So that's the difference, and you're giving up some ownership with the co-pub, whereas with the admin, you're keeping, ownership of your songs.
Cool. All right. We can just say no, and then we can move on to ID verification. Okay, I definitely somehow filled this up earlier because this is what I was going to put over here. So you would just enter, you need a government issued ID. You would enter an image of the front and an image of the back if it's applicable. For example, here, this is like a California ID. You would just need a clear image of the front like this, and then take a picture of the back. Okay, and then we have some information on that as well here. Now we can go ahead and hit publish once we've entered all of our appropriate information. And then it'll take us to this agreement here. So do you want to explain what this agreement is, if there's any, if there's any information you can offer about this, Kyle, for people who are kind of obviously read through all of this yourself, make sure you're aware of all the information, but is there any, information that you could offer, kind of like basic stuff for people to know?
Yeah, so the agreement, like you said, definitely read through it. Make sure that if you have questions, if you have like legal counsel or a management team or people that you lean on, definitely go through it with them. Essentially, the publishing agreement, what it is just breaking down the rights that's granted, like we just talked about. It's an admin deal, which means that you're keeping 100% ownership. It's talking about the time length of the deal. So essentially, it's a 1-year deal. There's some retention language in there. So once you submit your songs or whatever, we're able to collect after the term ends on the songs that you previously submitted. So you definitely want to go in and check that out. There's also a talk a little bit about at the end, just some legalities as far as, what we can do, what are our rights based on the fact that we're a publisher, right? So, being able to, help you in a situation where your song gets ripped, putting you in a position to, help you monetize your compositions across different platforms, whether it be on social media or whether it be with the DSPs, and just all of the things that we're able to do for you. And then at the end, it's an opportunity, where you sign everything, and then pretty much that's it. So you just want to go in and look at everything, make sure you review it, review the term, your rights that's being granted, the length. You also want to review, talking about what we're able to do on your behalf. And then everything else at the bottom is more so like legalese and different things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there anything, just ask you a question, Carl, is there anything on the form like that you need to make sure that's filled out correctly? Things like, I noticed on the form when Jamil was going through it, it asked for your first and last name, but obviously producers that are signed up for this might not be used to providing that information because they're so used to like using their artist name as such. So it's obviously really important that you provide your actual, government name. So I don't know if you wanted to just touch on that.
Right. Yeah. So let's go to the top of this. Right. So like you said, it's really important in the sign up. The first thing that you really want to do when you're signing up is important to provide those IPI numbers, make sure they're correct. Also providing your name properly. So it says this administration agreement is between, Beats by Stellar, which is in this instance the full name. PK just means professionally known as. So you just want to make sure you put your producer name and you get all of these different things right, because when you don't put your proper information, that could clog up and put you in a position to where it takes longer for your information to get processed, which delays the collection process. So it's important that take your time, review everything. When you're entering all your information from your name, your address, your IPI numbers, your entity names, all of these different things, your writer name, you want to make sure that you're putting in the right information so there's no delay in actually collecting your royalty.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Right,
Thank
for
you.
sure. Let's go ahead and see if we can get to a couple of these questions
Sure.
before we move on, since we're moving through this pretty quickly. So I think we can go through this. Let's see. Is there anything, Kyle? I don't want to put you on the spot for any of these. If you wanted to scroll through, if there's any of these you could put on the screen and answer.
Actually, this is a good one. This might be a good one to answer. I have an ASCAP writer account. Is this essentially the same thing? Do you want to explain that, Kyle?
So that's a very, very great question. We kind of just talked about it. In the States, it's a little bit different because, and I don't want to go crazy on this, but in the States, they have consent decrees, right? So essentially a PRO in America, whether that's ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC, they're not allowed to collect mechanical royalties, right? Whereas the CMOs in Europe are allowed to collect your performance royalties, which is your publishing, your writing, and they're also allowed to collect mechanical royalties. So in the States, if you're signed up with ASCAP and BMI, the purpose of a publisher is to, one, collect those royalties that you have from the performance, which is your publishing and your writers, but also collect your mechanical royalties for you, streamline that, put everything in one pot, and direct it right at you. Having ASCAP is the first step because it's your PRO, but they don't collect your mechanicals. So now you'll have to leave that platform and then go somewhere else, fill out all these different, things, and you may not do it right. And you want to make sure that you're understanding the difference, because just having ASCAP doesn't guarantee that you're going to be able to collect all of your royalties that are owed to you.
Yeah, that's a very great answer, and that is obviously true. You can sign up to a PRO, and anyone that is any kind of writer, artist, creator, producer should already have some kind of PRO. But I think people do get confused and think, oh, just because I've got ASCAP or whoever it is they're signed up to, that's enough. But actually, it's not. Having a publish admin company collect, they can collect additional royalties for you that you wouldn't normally be collecting. So yeah, it was a great question. Thank you for that question.
For sure. Let's see if there's another one. This is something that we were probably going to touch on later, but this is actually a good time to bring it up. This comment is definitely nice being able to tell someone you're on Spotify. I think you may be getting confused between publishing and distribution. Distribution and publishing are two totally separate things that BeatStars offers. Distribution would be getting your music on different streaming platforms, and then publishing is, as we said, the agreement that you would get with BeatStars is being able to collect your royalties worldwide. So those are two separate things. So make sure you look up all the information we already have about distribution, because these are two things that you should both have, and I think they kind of go hand in hand. To be honest. So, definitely two different things, both very important, but they are different. So if you're already signed up for BeatStars distribution, make sure, you look at all the information we have about publishing and decide if that's right for you as well. There's one, was there another one that you wanted to get to that you saw, Kyle, or are we okay to move on?
Let me see. I didn't see anything. What about you all? Did y'all see anything?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think we can carry on. I think
cool.
There's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to be going through, so we'll probably answer a lot of questions for people anyway.
Sure, we'll go through. We'll just finish this up. Let me just generate that signature. You go ahead and sign. You could use you could use this to sign if you'd like as well. Go ahead and have it generate for me, and then I'll sign that. And then what will happen is that you'll receive like a copy of your contract as well. Okay, I think it just takes a second.
We can probably answer this question while we're waiting. Do we need to register the songs we publish with ASCAP separately? Do you want to answer that one, Kyle?
Yeah, that's a great question. So no, once you go into the portal and you register your songs, the beautiful part about having a publisher is that they take care of all of that for you. And not only do they take care of all of it for you, they make sure it's done properly, right? And they put you in a position to where it's very, very, seamless, ease of use.
Yeah, and partnering with a company as big as Sony, in general, allows that process to happen quicker, right? It's generally a lot quicker than it would be if you was to register it yourself. So that's another benefit of having, signing up to BeatStars Publishing as well, because you get your songs registered quickly, a lot quicker, I should say.
It's true.
Let me do that. And then I actually have another publishing account too. So I'll go ahead and sign into one of those really quick.
We're going to go through the process of
doing a track. Yeah,
cool.
We're going to show submitting a track too. Because that's another, that's the other key component, being able to add all your tracks. So let's do that.
So now Beats by Stella has got their contract through. They've been approved, and now we're going to process a track that's already been released.
Right.
And start collecting. Filling up that bank.
Let me just get that set up, and we can go ahead and do it. Okay. It was just working a second ago. I'm not sure what's going on now. Okay.
Yeah. You're very welcome, Base 12 Beats. Thank you for your question.
Okay, wait with this. Sorry, I have to enter my password again. I have to verify my account.
Ufo, this is a great question. I work with the marketing team, and they put together basically a guide to music publishing. And this literally talks about so many different, royalty streams. I don't know. We can probably find a link for you and put it in here, but it's literally super, super deep. It covers all of these different things. So we'll make sure we
keep you right. Yeah.
Are one of you, or Lee, are you already signed into publishing? You already signed up for publishing?
Yeah, I am actually. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, could you sign into yours?
Yeah, let me just see if I can sign in. The only thing is, it's got some tracks already on there, so let me have a look. Let's sign into this. It's going to ask me for a code. Here we go. The cool thing about this is as well, because kind of like what Abe mentioned at the beginning, we obviously have the BeatStars Studio app, and this publishing is incorporated into that as well. So once you've been approved, you can just do all this stuff on your phone through the app, which is super cool. Just another cool feature, that we offer with this as well, alongside distribution as well, which we have on the BeatStars Studio. Okay, so I have it up now. Let me share my screen. Let's go. So probably, can you see my screen? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see some tracks I've already registered, and you can see that they've already been published already. They've been approved and accepted. So we can go ahead and just. Did you have one in mind? I can probably just make one up for now.
Yeah, we'll just make one up.
And then just don't put it through. Or I could just do one that I've already done. Let me just do one that I've already done, actually. So I actually recently dropped a beat tape, funny enough, through BeatStars distribution. So I thought, why not actually, put it through publishing as well and collect on that side. So in fact, I could probably just register one of those tracks that I have on that beat tape, if I can remember the name of the ones I have on there. Okay, so I could probably just type in my name. Here we go. So if you have the artist name, there's a few different ways you can search. Let me actually go back. So it tells you up here what you can do is you can type in the track name, you can type in the artist, you can type in the album name, or if you have the ISRC, which is like the unique code that you get once you've distributed through distribution, then you'll get the ISRC number, which you can find. We provide that to you on distribution as well, so you could just go and get that number if you wanted to and just copy and paste it into this field. So you can search. So I'm going to just search by artist name, and I'm just going to pick this top one because I've not actually registered it yet. So it brings all the details in for you already, the ISRC, length, and all that kind of stuff. And it's actually already compiled my writer's name in there because I've already filled that out on the form initially. So it's automatically done that for you. It's also already incorporated my role, but I can change that if I want to. So I am the composer and the producer on this track, and it is just myself. So it's just the beat and instrumental that I'm registering. So I can actually register this at 100% because there's no one else. I own the full rights to this track at this present time. So I'm going to register this at 100%. Now, obviously, if there was other parties involved, you can add the other writers if you wish to do so. I would highly suggest that if you are registering a track that's been released, say, for instance, me and Jamil and Kyle released the track together. Kyle is the artist and Jamil is my co-producer. So then we're going to register it in a, it needs to be at 100%. So we need to figure out who's getting what those percentages. So you need to figure that out before you register and make sure that that's correct. I could probably, I would say I'd add Jamil now, but this is actually going to be a proper process I'm going to go through. So, but what you can do is you can just add
show it
name.
and then tweet me afterwards.
Yeah. I'll just do this. If I can spell his name right. That's right. Is that wrong? There we go. And then I'm going to add him as another producer, composer, and then I'll just add him as 50%. And then if you make any mistakes, you can always delete it. And then I could carry on and add some more based on, obviously who's been involved on the track. I'm going to delete this because obviously I'm registering at 100% because it's just myself. And then basically all I need to do is click publish. I'm going to confirm that to make sure. It's going to give you a warning to say, hey, look, usually the writer of the song owns 50% and the producer owns 50%. In this case, I am the writer and I am the producer because it's just an instrumental. So now I'm going to just click confirm. And that's it. It's now in review. That's really how easy it is. It's really simple. And as you can see, a lot of that information was already filled out for me. Obviously, if there's more people involved, you're going to need to make sure you have their details and you can just fill that in pretty straightforward. You don't need any of their IPI numbers or anything like that. It just simply asks you for their name, which is also why it's really important when it comes to publishing or anything like that. PROs, you make sure you have their actual name. Like Carl said, make sure you've got the actual first, their government name to make sure you can fill it out correctly. But yeah, I don't know if I've missed out on anything there and if there's any questions about that at all. And if Kyle or Jamil, you had any kind of feedback on that?
No feedback from me. Just wanted to reiterate, what are the first steps, that you need to take before you're able to add a track to publishing? What do you need to do before that?
That's a very good point. Basically, the only way I was able to find that track in our system was because it had already been distributed. So it's already on the DSPs. It's already on platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. And we actually use, I think on our side, we use the Spotify search engine to find the track. So it makes it easier to, register it, or it's already there. It gives you the ISRC number, which is what you need to trace it all and stuff like that. So yeah, you need to make sure that the song's already distributed. So for those people that may think, I can just upload a beat to the BeatStars platform, it's on my account, and then actually register it in publishing, that will not work, of course. You will need to make sure that it's on some form of DSP to start off with. To to make sure that you can actually register it. And actually, once it's in the review process, it's really quickly. Our publishing team are really cool. It's really quickly. It happens within a few days, so it's really, really cool. As long as obviously you've put the information in correctly, you've put the splits, you know, how they should be, the percentages and stuff like that, just to make sure that it's done properly. And it actually filling out that information will actually make that process a little bit quicker. But yeah, to Jamil's point, you need to make sure that you have whatever you're trying to register through our publishing admin, you need to make sure that it's already on some form of DSP. So yeah, so say like Jamil purchased one of my tracks off BeatStars and then he's released it through distribution. I found out about it, then I can go and register it on my side, which is cool. I think it's good.
Awesome. Okay, was there anything else at the track stage that you wanted to mention, Kyle?
No, I think that's a great point that Lee just made too. Based on your contract or your license, or whatever information, you know, say you have a beat that you license out and the contract says, you know, you're entitled to your 50% or whatever of the beat on the publishing side, you can go in and you can register your piece. You know, they're able to administer and register their piece. But you don't have to wait on them to register your piece. No, you can go in and you can register your own piece. You just want to make sure you check with them because essentially, like Lee said, the song needs to be distributed, right? So once it's distributed, you can go in and actually administer your own piece, and they can administer theirs with whatever you know type of publishing entity that they work with.
Yeah, I think the really cool thing about the whole BeatStars process in total is that, you know, if you're a BeatStars producer and you're using the BeatStars platform, right, you should be utilizing distribution and publishing anyway. I think so. I mean, I do, and I think everyone else should do as well. And the process is made so easy because you're keeping it all in-house, right? You've got your contracts that are already pre-created for you, that's got all the percentages in for you already, right? So you know what the percentages are. You know what percentages are going to where, right? Then you have distribution already there. So you can release those tracks through distribution. And then on top of that, afterwards, you're collecting more money for our publishing. And it's just making the process really seamless and really easy because you've got all the information there. And I think that's such a cool thing that we're doing to, you know, to help our creators even more. And I think it's amazing, in my opinion. I think it's really good. Just making the whole process so much easier, you know?
And just seamless.
Right.
Like this process 30 years ago, imagine Michael Jackson having to register, you know, Thriller.
Yeah, man.
4 years ago with all these different writers, Quincy Jones, what's his name, Rod Templeton, all these different people that's collaborating on this project. But now, you know, everything is so seamless from the distribution. If you got collaborators on that side, you can split it the same way. And also just on the publishing side, it's seamless. So I definitely agree.
Yeah, I mean, back then it was probably all written down on paper and, you know, put out in the post and stuff like that. Whereas now it's just literally what BeatStars is doing with technology as well, you know, incorporating that in. It's just making the whole process so seamless and just making it so easy for you. I mean, you saw how quickly there Jamil was able to sign up and then I was able to process a track, you know, it was just so quick. Within a couple of minutes, we already had the track reviewing, right? So that's just I'm just blown away by it. It's just super cool, you know?
Right. I think something that, you know, happens a lot is that, you know, a lot of these processes in the past have sort of been like really convoluted, and it seems really complicated to go from one service to another.
Exactly.
And try to get all of this set up, and, you know, there's nobody to really guide you or provide like the information that, you know, that you would need. Yeah. But, you know, with BeatStars Publishing, I think that kind of changes everything, you know, we, you know, since you have, when like Lee was saying, like having everything, you know, within like the BeatStars platform just makes it all so easy. And, you know, I could say for myself and from what I've seen from, at least from Kyle and Levi Beats here and everybody else on the team, you know, we're all ready to help and kind of guide you through this process. You know, we don't want it to be confusing anymore. We want everybody in the BeatStars community to be able to take advantage and be able to capitalize and really really just kind of, own your music and own your business. So that's just kind of what this is all about. We're just trying to make it as easy and as simple as possible for everybody.
Yeah, we're making it seamless. We're opening doors for, people that probably wouldn't have had these doors opened in the past. This is available for everyone, which is super cool. I mean, 5 years ago, this wouldn't have been available for everyone. 10 years ago, this wouldn't definitely been available to everyone, right? It's very hard to, get access to this kind of stuff, and we're making it super easy for that. So we're making it, and at the same time, we're also educating people, which is really important. I think that's one of the most important things, like this show today. We're teaching you what publishing is about and why you need it and why you need distribution and stuff like that, So, yeah, we're doing some amazing things, which I think is great.
All right. Let's see if we can get any other questions in.
Yeah.
Because we have like 10 extra minutes, I think, to answer questions before we go on to the quiz. So
yeah,
let's see if we can get anything else in.
Just trying to go for the questions, see if there's anything there.
Feel free whenever you guys see one, put it up on the screen and get to answering it.
Yeah, so I'm going to bring up another Buffo question. So he says, technically speaking, can one add someone that's not a BeatStars member to split and then still get paid? Yeah, so basically you're registering your stuff yourself. So you're with BeatStars Publishing Admin. So you're collecting your side. They will still need to register on their side, but by you actually adding them, it just makes the process a lot seamless. Just to make sure, all the percentages are correct and make sure that everyone's on the same page and everyone's getting the right splits. BeatStars obviously won't pay out those directly to the other parties because they're collecting on your behalf. But obviously, if they registered with BeatStars Publishing, and you should maybe, recommend that they do just to make it even more easier, then yeah, we will collect for them as well. But in general, we're only collecting for the actual account holder. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that, but yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Was there anything else you saw in there, Carl, that was a good question that you could probably answer? Sorry. This is a good question. Can you edit if you submit a beat track that you own but put 50% by mistake? Yeah, sure. You can just literally reach out to our support team and we can rectify that for you. Once it's submitted, obviously you can't then go and re-edit it. But if you just enter anything by mistake, obviously please make sure that you put everything correctly beforehand, because obviously it just speeds up the process. But if you do make a mistake, just reach out to the support team and we can put you right.
I think this was a cool one. How about the beats that people use in the future? How are you supposed to keep track to get your pub? I always talk about this and protect your art too. It's just like build those relationships in the beginning, right? So when you get, something in, you just, hey, introduce yourself. Hey, my name is Kyle. I appreciate you purchasing my beat. I want to make sure we, get everything taken care of. So just let me know, when you distribute the song. I'll make sure I get my pub, registered based on the agreement. You get yours registered, and let's continue to do business. And I think that that's super important. The cool thing I think about this, one, the education piece, the seamless and like making it in this, ease of use is also, it's putting you in a position to build a business and to have someone on your team that's an expert. Because essentially, you want to have, I think, which is really 5 things, right? You want to have your recording side, right? You want to have your finance side where you're having people help you with that and collect all your royalties in one spot. You want to have your publishing, right? You want to have your social media, which is your marketing team. And then you want to tile that in and put a bow on it with the education piece. That's going to help you grow. So I think this is super important because it puts you in a position to have, all of your business essentially in one place. You're not having to go here to get information or go here to get information. And then, you can take that information and use it to build relationships with people that's also in the community or coming into the community on the front end. So now you get everything registered. You're talking to them, and if that song takes on legs and gets really, really big, then you're able to collect on it. So I think just building those relationships, genuine relationships in the beginning, reaching out, that's how you're going to be able to keep track and get your plug from those songs. So.
Yeah, I always think you touched on a great point now. I always think it's important that you keep in contact with the people that you're licensing beats to. You should be in contact with them and be interested, ask if they're, going to be releasing the track. When are they releasing it? That's something that I do all the time. You need to make sure you keep in contact with these people and build that network and keep that communication going. And that will help you to, have a better understanding of, future projects that are coming out so you can register them.
This is a good question over here. Yes, free users are also able to sign up for publishing, but it is $49.99 if you are a free user. It is free if you are a pro page plan user.
Yep.
So that's still an option available to you.
Yeah. Is there anything else in there?
We could probably get to the quiz, and if anything else comes up, then we'll just do that then.
Sure.
Okay,
Excited
cool.
about the quiz?
I am. I hope everybody else is too.
Yeah.
If you are new to BeatStars Academy, we have a quiz at the end of every episode based on the topic that we covered for the day. The top 3 winners are added to the BeatStars Academy All-Stars playlist. To join the quiz and to participate, everybody watching can join. Go to kahoot.it and let me share the screen, and you will just need to enter the game pin. So pull out your phone, go to kahoot.it, stay tuned to the show to see the questions, and you can participate by answering questions on the screen.
Man, it's hard. I have to dot this for Protect Your Art.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys need to get that. You need to get that over there.
Yeah.
This is super dope.
Honestly, this is the thing that takes us longest in the prep time every week for BeatStars Academy.
Yeah. Now that's a good way, it's good to learn it, but to actually work through it, and use it, use it or lose it. That's a great way to retain. So
Definitely. Yeah.
We just want to make sure everybody understands. If there's something that people don't understand, then we can talk about it a little bit more.
Definitely.
So don't feel bad if you don't know the answer to any of these. I believe we did talk about everything today, though, and we'll just reiterate it. It's no big deal. Sometimes it takes a while to learn these things. Levi and I making these quizzes are definitely not geniuses by any means. Well, at least I'll speak for myself. I'm not. Maybe Levi is, but it just takes a while sometimes to figure these things out.
We figure it out between us. That's the cool thing about BeatStars. We're a team, so we work together. Kyle definitely did help us with this one, of course.
Kyle did help us with this one
because we wanted, some. We don't want to give it to you guys too easy. We need to make sure that you are staying tuned in with us and that you are actually learning some stuff. So this is a good way to test your knowledge and test to see if you're actually listening into us. So yeah. I just love the cheesy music on this. It just I'll wait for this every week.
Hey man, don't call it cheesy. This is some good stuff.
I might sample it, for one of my new tracks, up and coming tracks.
Okay, we could do another minute or two. Let's see if we can get a couple more people in here.
Yeah.
Only 10 people. Come on, that's not hard. Come on, we need more.
Here we go.
Let's go.
What did we do last time when we had 5 winners, right? Oh, because we talked about the track artwork.
Yeah, because we was talking about the Canva integration.
And while we're here too, I think you talked about sampling. The purpose and one of the important things about publishing as well. One of you, and I just had this idea. One of you, I see a lot of talk about sync licensing. That's very, very proactive, So one of you all can reach out. Hey, Kahoot, I'm a producer on BeatStars. I hear that you have this music in the background.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be really, really dope if you just put some really hard beats in here, some electronics, some trap, some soul, some Kanye finna drop some Kanye West type beats, Migos type beats or J. Cole type beats. And because you have publishing, now you put yourself in a position you work with your publisher to get those, royalties in. So that's just cool, that when Levi talked about sampling, I think that's really, really cool. And that's where your publishing also comes into play at.
Yeah, I think it's a missed market. I think producers should definitely be reaching out. And I know myself, I know how many times, other producers or other people that have listened to my content. And even when I listen to others, I say, yo, I could hear that on a TV advert. Oh, yo,
Right.
I could hear this in this movie. Or, God, this would be dope, like in the background music on this application or something. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's definitely a missed market. I think I know there's a lot of people out there doing it. But yeah, it's just another way. I mean, like, look, reach out to Kahoot. Who knows? They might want to update their playlist, for the tracks, and then get streamed through, BeatStars Academy show and potentially, a Tony Carl's show in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I'm going to switch my camera really quick. Don't be alarmed. I'm not disconnecting. All right. Let me just do that because I need to. This happens at the end of every show where my camera is about to die, so I need to switch it.
Sometimes we lose Jamil every now and again.
Okay. Well, when I forget, because I'm so into the show, that sometimes I forget that my computer's gonna die. All right, let's go ahead and start the quiz.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
This is the BeatStars publishing quiz. 3, 2, 1. True or false? Your track needs to be distributed before adding it to publishing. Hit blue for true, hit red for false.
Answers are coming in quick.
Y'all smart.
We made this question short.
There we go. Yep. The answer is true. It needs to be on, as Levi said, it needs to be on platforms in order to search for it within that search engine in the tracks, in the track adding screen.
Yep.
There should be a better name for that. There is a better name for that. I just couldn't think of it. Where you add tracks to publishing, you have to be able to search for
page. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Metadata page. Yeah, that works. Okay, so let's say we got a close race. Miles got beats is at 887, and mixture is at 872. Remember that the quicker you answer, the more points you get. So I think it's out of a possible 1,000 or 2,000 in double points case. But okay, how many tracks are you able to add to publishing? Is it unlimited? Is it 10 a week? Is it 100 a year? Or is it 1,000 a year? This was on the screen at different points throughout the episode.
Oh, yep.
Yep, unlimited tracks. 10 a week, that would be, nope. I mean, that might be, something that other publishers do, but we have unlimited, so.
Yeah, same as our distribution. We have unlimited on that as well.
That's a close
page plan, unlimited. We're all about that unlimited life.
Yep.
No limits on BeatStars. Okay. Looks like it's almost the same. A mixture popped up a few points ahead of Miles.
I think Carl's going to want to come back. He's enjoying himself too much.
Okay. You don't need a PRO to use BeatStars publishing. Is that true or false?
Carl touched on this.
Yep. False. You want to go over that one again, Kyle?
Yeah, so essentially you do, we talked about this, you do want to make sure whatever country you're in, you register with the PRO or CMO in that area or territory, because we're gonna, as your publisher, get everything aligned with them so we can collect your, all of your different royalty streams. So that's super important.
All right.
Eight flights.
The updated stands.
Imagine having more than 1,000 songs to add to this, though. Well, I mean, you saw how quickly it was to register, right? I mean, I don't think 1,000 songs is a lot, but yeah, I mean, you saw how quickly it was, so I don't think it would take you too long.
Yeah, you can knock those out quickly, really quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, for sure. Okay, I don't know why it's only saying G Life has 3 correct in a row while everybody here has 3 correct in a row. I think it just Kahoot really likes G Life. I don't know. I don't know. That's not something we did. That's just Cahoots pointing that out.
Keeps putting flames next to his name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's putting flames next to his name. I mean, I don't know what G Life is doing over there, but
he must have a Kahoot pro page.
Yeah, he has the Kahoot page.
Oh, maybe that's his track in the background. Maybe
it might be.
You never know. But yeah, so it's still a really close race. I mean, Miles is only 5 ahead of DP, but everybody moved up, so this was not what it looked like last time. All right, true or false? We have a lot of true or false this week. You can have multiple publishing administrators collecting your royalties. Is that true or false?
Well, the answers that there they go. They're coming.
Yeah, they're coming.
False. You want to explain this one, Kyle? It looks like people are confused about this one.
Yeah, so essentially we are like BeatStars is a pub admin, and you have other ones out there, but it's important because when in agreements, you only want to have one pub admin collecting on your behalf, because if you got 1,000 people doing 1,000 different things, it gets tricky. So that's really, really important. You have one PRO, right? And also for the publishing, depending on whatever deal you have. With us, we'll be our only publishing admin, meaning we'll make sure we collect everything on your behalf, and you don't have to feel like you got to have this person or that person. We'll take care of everything. So,
yep.
Okay, cool.
Oof.
Oh.
All right. G Life is on top now. And 8th Life, sorry. I don't know. They're both life. Okay, last question. Double points.
Double points.
Another one.
What is the difference between music publishing and distribution? Are they synonymous? Does distribution collect composition royalties and publishing collects master royalties? Does distribution collect master royalties and publishing composition royalties? Or does BeatStars Publishing will get your music on streaming platforms? Sorry, these were a little bit confusing because we got character limits. This yellow one means distribution collects master royalties and publishing collects composition royalties. That's what I mean. Character limit, boys.
Oh, music's getting tense.
I mean, Kahoot always knows the assignment and knows this is the last question.
Yeah, one more we waiting on.
Oof.
Yep. That's why I explained that yellow one again, guys. Come on. That was a hint. Kyle, do you want to explain this one again to the people?
Yeah, so this is super, super key, right? So with BeatStars, right, of course, you know, we got distribution. That's going to collect the master royalties. What your master royalties are taken care of is everything DSP-wise. So that's your Spotify, your YouTube, your Apple Music, your Amazon, your Tidal, all of those things right there. That's on your master side. But what's happening with your publishing, those are the underlying compositions, so the actual songs, right? Though the publishing takes care of the composition royalties, which is essentially the performance royalties. So that's your publishing, your music publishing, your writing, writer side, and that's also your mechanicals. So that's the difference. Your masters is your DSP, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. Your publishing is your performance royalties, or composition, which is your publishing, your writing, and your mechanicals.
Yeah. Well done for those that got that right.
All right. Let's see what happened. Let's see who's on the podium.
Yeah, let's go.
3rd place. Because Miles got beats.
Well done.
Good job, Miles.
Congratulations.
2nd place. DP.
5 out of 5.
I think I know who this is.
Who we got?
G Life.
It's G Life. Let's go. Congratulations to everybody once again.
Yes.
You know, this publishing is a very exciting thing. We're happy that you guys are excited about it. We hope that everybody gives it a try, especially if you have a pro page plan, because it is free. And I don't know, I'm drawing a blank here. This week has been crazy. It's been so exciting for everybody at BeatStars. we're
It's
really
been
excited, to hear that you guys are enjoying this so far. So we'll add your tracks to the playlist. We got a couple minutes left before the next show on BeatStars Academy. If there's anything else, any other comments that you guys had in the chat, we got a couple more minutes to talk to you.
Yep.
Let me get rid of this.
Make sure you go and pin the beat to your BeatStars profile so we know which one that you want us to put on the playlist. Make sure you do
Right.
that. Yep. Shout out to the winners. Just if there's any other questions in there.
Yeah, definitely shout out to you all. The last thing I would just say is this is great that y'all are tuned in. Publishing is very, very cool. It's really the foundation of the music industry, right? Before there was all of this recorded music, there were song sheets and just all this different stuff. So, I think it's really, really important to have, understanding of publishing. Can I see this question here? Do you also collect international? That's a super, super great question. And the answer is yes. That's one of the reasons why we partner with the best, which is, Sony Music Publishing that has, all of these different people in place in different territories around the world. So yeah, make sure you sign up. You can collect, locally, wherever you're at, internationally. And we're there for you, each step. Follow me, and if you have questions, hit us up or hit me up or whatever. And yeah, thank you guys for having me on. This was really, really amazing.
No, you're cool. I just wanted to actually ask you one quick question, Carl. Can publishing actually protect you in any way?
Right. I think so. Essentially, people register half, which we talked about, the master and the composition. But on the publishing side, or the performance side, there's a copyright that comes with that, right? So by you registering your publishing and doing different things with your publishing, one of the cool things that you do is you're always creating that timestamp. So like when you went in and you registered your publishing, on that song, you created a timestamp. And you can always, if litigation or anything comes up, you can always, add that piece of information to your, case or your argument to say like, hey, this is when I registered my copyright. You want to make sure you register your copyrights, of course, separately. But this is when I registered my publishing. This is when I did all these things. And it just bodes well for you, if you ever get in a situation where you have to prove that you're the owner of that composition or that particular piece of publishing.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely, yeah.
All
That's
right.
a very good point.
All right, I think we're probably good to go now. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to be adding the winners to the playlist after this. Make sure you have the beat that you want added to the playlist pinned to your profile so we know which one to add. And we'll see you all soon. Make sure you stay where you are. We have another show coming up right after this. So we'll see you later.
Peace out.